Welcome to Justice Now. This is part of the Workplace Mobbing Part 23. Sense of justice. This is a message for targets. If you've been targeted, you will need to come to several realizations. The first realization that I knew that I need to come to is that most likely you will not get justice in this situation. Unfortunately, the perpetrators, they've been able to maneuver the system so much and hide behind the company's brand, hide behind the managers and upper management that they've managed to manipulate, and others who have supported them, they've managed to manipulate. Come to the realization that you will not get justice in this situation. In some cases, you may, if you have the documentation, if you have evidence, then you can definitely bring those forward. It doesn't always guarantee that you're going to get justice. And for most of the targets, there is this strong sense of justice, and rightly so. If you go to work, you expect to get paid. You go to work, you expect to get treated with respect and dignity. And unfortunately, these perpetrators and their supporters and those who protect them are not on the same level. So that's when you need to make that decision within yourself. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's a comfortable position to be in, but it's a realization that, again, you may not get the justice that you're looking for. So the realizations are this. Number one, you have no control in this situation except for yourself. You only have control over how you react and what you can reasonably do to protect yourself. Realization number two, you have no control over the perpetrators or their supporters or whomever chooses to believe them. You just have no control over that. These are violations, and they hurt. They hurt. And not only they hurt at an emotional level, they hurt in a real life day-to-day level, because when you go to work, it's with the expectation that you're going to get paid in order to create or maintain a lifestyle such as paying your mortgage, paying your rent, paying your car note, paying your child's schooling, paying food, right? It really disrupts your ability to utilize the resources or to access the resources to maintain your life and the life of your family. And the perpetrators know this, and that's why they attack this. Realization number three, you have no control over your reputation. If people want to go and destroy your reputation, they will do it. The most you can do is be strong within yourself and know who you are. Hence the reason as to why you need to make sure you have a strong support base. A strong support base that helps remind you who you are. That you are compassionate, that you are confident, that you are knowledgeable, that you are reasonable-minded, that you are many wonderful things that the perpetrators and their supporters will never tell you. Realization number four, do not expect to get any validation. When going into a workplace, At no time should you ever be expected to get validation, especially from the perpetrators. The whole point is to break you down. And realization number 5, which will go back to realization number 1, is, again, do not expect to get justice. It's as unfortunate as it is, the way that it is currently, do not expect it. And this is where you need to have that truthful conversation with yourself. Do you want to get justice and utilize your energy to get as much justice here, or do you want to protect yourself and get out of the situation? Right? That's really what it comes down to. For myself, what helped me was a strong support base. What helped me was recognizing I have transferable skills and realizing that there's options. Oftentimes, the older that one gets, the less the options become. So, in that circumstance, you need to plan as effectively as you can as to what options you might have as you get older. What transferable skills do you have? If you've been in a company for 20 years and you've amassed so many hours in vacation, so many hours in severance, recognize that just because you've worked at a place for so long doesn't guarantee stability. Way back several decades ago, you may have been able to work at one job, work there for a long time, and be able to retire. These days, a lot of the corporations and organizations, they are cutting costs, especially with the economic downturns. And in cutting costs, they tend to let go of their older staff who've had higher seniority, who've had more experience, knowing that it will be harder for them to get an equivalent position with equivalent pay and equivalent benefits to maintain lifestyles. So another way that you can help to buffer against this is to live below your means. In some cases, it's hard to even say live below your means because most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Most people are 1 or 2 paycheck away from losing their home, losing their car, losing their apartment or their condo or their place of dwelling. And it makes it very, very difficult to bounce back from that. Oftentimes, when you are moving to another company, expect that you're not going to have the same level of position. You're not going to have the same level of pay. And it does make things harder. When you prepare for these things, it makes it easier. It gives you a more realistic approach. So I hope that helps in terms of trying to prepare yourself and trying to understand that although you may have a strong sense of justice, unfortunately, at this time, at this period, within society, as it pertains to work, justice will not be had. The perpetrators will go free. Unlike situations or unlike criminal activities like a murder or a rape, where the perpetrator is found in some cases and brought to justice. In the case of workplace mobbing, oftentimes the perpetrators are free to roam and they got promotions and they go on to terrorize other people. In order to have that curtailed, this is where bystanders who see this need to speak up, where they need to state this is in fact what's been happening, that there was something going on in the environment and the perpetrators are responsible for that. At this time, unfortunately, that is not happening. Due to the bystander effect, there are scientific studies on the bystander effect and why people don't speak up. And as long as people are kept in fear, because perpetrators create a climate of fear, a climate of high anxiety, a climate that's very toxic, unfortunately, there's going to be more people that are going to be subjected to workplace mobbing. Hopefully at some point, people will speak up and do something about it. Hopefully at some point, they're not just going to look at the one person and blame everything on the one person, because that's what they've been going through the whole time. That target is the scapegoat, so they blame everything on the scapegoat, and it's just a continuation. Hopefully that will be interrupted at some point when people have the courage to speak up. Until then, unfortunately, we're going to see more situations of mass shootings. Unfortunately, we're going to see more situations of suicides. We're going to see more situations where people have mental health issues resulting from workplace mobbing. And that's the most unfortunate part, is that the victim, the true victim, which is the target, ends up being criminalized, ends up being diagnosed by persons who have no credentials to do so. And it makes it harder for them if they're living, and it makes it, again, harder for them if they're gone. So just to keep that in mind, protect yourself as much as you can, have that support group, and strengthen up on who you are, because that's the only control that you have. That was the lesson that I learned when I left that workplace environment. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be rectified when you leave. Oftentimes, it means that you will need to be very creative in trying to sort yourself out financially and do the best that you can to survive. So yes, stay tuned for more videos, and take care.